Hey, my name is Rodney, and I love to explore the roads less traveled in my Jeep Gladiator Django. In this video, I take the road to the top of Mount Antero with a side trip to Browns Lake. The plan for the day is to take the trail up to the top of Mount Antero, and I'm also going to do some exploring, head over down to Brown Lake, and this is kind of a dual purpose trip. I'm going to explore the hiking trail, camp tonight, but I also plan on hiking to the top of Antero for a separate journey. I'm trying to summit all 58 14ers in Colorado. This would be number 14, I believe. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to divide up the video, but I will put a link down to the hike up to Antero if you're interested in that. I'm at a staging area about 30 feet away from the start of the trail. It's kind of hard to see, especially when you're driving up the road, but the turn onto Antero is right there on the left-hand side. You immediately start to climb once you turn onto the trail. Based on the videos I've seen of the trail, it is rocky and you have some climbs. So I did air down. I don't think you have to, but just for comfort and a little extra traction, I decided to go ahead and air down, and I'm ready to hit this trail. When I was looking back at that Antero sign at the entrance, it says that July the 18th through the 19th, they're having an endurance run. I'm assuming up this trail, which is crazy because I'm just at the beginning and this thing is steep, and I think it's that way all the way to the top. It's called the High Lonesome 100 High Lonesome Endurance Run. I think that's what it was called. So that is nuts. I enjoy a good trail run, but nothing like this. This would just be punishing. It is so steep. This trail is rated at moderate. There aren't any obstacles. It's just that it is narrow and it is rocky and rough. I'm not a fan of super narrow trails just because I'm always, what if someone's coming back the other way, which is the thing that I hate the most. People coming down steep roads, you don't know what they're doing. That bothers me, but I don't think I'm gonna have any problems with anybody coming down, because it is a Tuesday morning and I'm heading up, so I don't think there's going to be much traffic at all. I'm a little over a mile into the trail and it has leveled off a bit, and I just passed the entrance to a separate trail called the Boulder Mountain Trail, and there are a few dispersed campsites. I passed two so far that you can fit a vehicle or two. Hey, how's it going?
Really good, man. How you doing?
All right, you guys must got an early start.
Yeah, started at 5:30.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you going all the way to the top?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna camp out tonight, and then I'm gonna hike up. I'm gonna do the 14 or tomorrow.
Perfect. We drove up. We parked at 13.7 and just hiked up, and they're coming down.
Oh, great, nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. You're gonna have a great time.
Oh man, thanks a lot.
All right, dude. We'll have fun.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. I just ran into one vehicle coming down the other way, but thankfully I'm in this area that is flat, and I was able to just back up a few feet to a point where it's a little bit wider and able to get through with no problem. I've passed a few campsites. Looks like we have another one here. I don't know if you can really see down in there, but there is a fire pit, maybe a vehicle and one tent. So it's a smaller site. I'm still down in the tree, so I don't have much of a view, but the creek is right there and it's really nice. Here's a nice campsite right next to the water. You can fit one vehicle in a tent. I'll show it to you right now. So this is a pretty nice spot. The creek is right there. So they have the fire marine right around there. And you can back up one vehicle right here and put one tent. I'm at an elevation of 10,819 feet, and I'm just about able to see the peaks off in the distance here as I'm getting clear of these trees and continuing to do the climb here. I'm about 2.7 miles into the trail, and it splits off. If you continue on up to the left, that is Forest Road 278, and that takes you to Mount Antero. If you go off to the right, that is Forest Road 277, and that takes you to Baldwin Lake. I do want to see Baldwin Lake, but I don't think I am going to have enough time this trip because there's a few trails up higher that I want to check out this afternoon. So there's some water here in a creek, maybe a nice little place to take a little bit of a break. There isn't like a real good area to pull over, like to have lunch or anything, because it's kind of rocky. But if you want to cool down in the water, it seems like a really nice spot. Let's see here. According to this map, we are here, and I plan on camping right about there, and that's where I'm gonna end up eventually. I just crossed that creek over where the trail splits off to go to Baldwin Lake, and there is several dispersed campsites right around here. So you have a lot of camping options if you want to explore this area. So far, that first mile was definitely the roughest section of the trail. I'm on another steep climb right now, but there is no exposed area, and the rocks are smaller, so it isn't bad. I upgraded from 35s to 37s maybe around a year ago, but a lot of the trails I've been doing recently haven't been anything too bad. A few weeks ago, I was over out in Creed and did a trail called Phoenix Waterfall Park, and that had some boulders and some climbs, and that was really kind of the first test of the 37s, and this is also a pretty good test of the 37s. You definitely don't need 37s to do this trail, but just to see how they perform. And so far so good, and that's without re-gearing. I was planning on re-gearing by now, but it was expensive and things come up in life. So I'm still at the 410s that came stock. So I'm interested to see how much better it would do if it was re-geared appropriately, because there's sometimes where I have to give it a little bit more gas to get over a boulder, and I bet if it was geared properly, it would just crawl right over them. But I really do want to get them re-geared. Probably the biggest thing I've noticed with the going to 37s without re-gearing is if I'm doing any kind of street driving where there's an incline, it really struggles. The RPMs really get up there. So I have avoided pulling a camper over like I-70 because I feel like it'd just be too much for it. So I've been finding campsites, that don't require going over such a big pass. So I really do want to get it done, but we'll see how things go. Oh, here's another nice campsite. Right here, I'm at 11,469 feet, and here is like another nice campsite where you can get multiple vehicles, and there might be a few campsites in there. There's something in the road here, I'm not sure. Looks like somebody's camper fell off, and there's a vehicle back there. Looks like it may have crashed. I didn't see anybody in it. Yeah. Is it their solar panel? Yeah, somebody's camper must have crashed. Getting that down plus the vehicle is gonna be a little bit of a challenge there. Hope they were all right. Hope that looks like it may have happened a while ago. The road to the top of Antero heads up that way, I believe. But here on the very edge of the gulch, I think that's where I'm gonna see about finding a campsite right down this road here. So I'm gonna head down here, see if I can find a spot to get set up, and then I'll decide what I wanna do with the rest of the day. This is a nice spot. I'll put the GPS coordinates down here on the video, and I'm real behind on my blog post, but I actually will try to do a blog post too, we'll see, and put some information about the campsite. There's a nice flat pad here. The only downside is you can tell this is used regularly. There's like trash around, tent stakes, some kind of, I don't know, looks like a bathtub. There's spots here for a few tents. There's a few fire rings, and the trail you kind of climbs up and even goes that way. I'm not sure what's there. I might do some exploring, but I think this is going to be the spot for today. And at least get the tent up so I can, claim my spot. The road loops around here, and there's another site like right over here that looks like it's nice. There's a fire pit there. You can probably put a tent right there. So there's a lot of options down in this area if you're looking for a place to camp. A couple of Jeeps came down the trail a few minutes ago. Apparently that road must go to a mine. The guy who apparently works that mine says that they kind of set up this spot here. So it's still on public land, but they kind of got it set up, and that's just very nice. A nice little clean spot there, and they were very, very nice. I think the plan for the rest of the day, it's about noon, is that I'm gonna head up the trail. I want to go see Brown Lake. That looks amazing, and then I'll head up to the top of Antero with the drive, so I can get the lay of the land, and then I'll come back here and enjoy this beautiful area, and tomorrow do the climb back up to Antero so I can get my 14er the semi-legit way. I'm starting back up the trail. There are nice switchbacks, and then you can either continue on up to Antero or you can go to Brown Lake, and there's another trail up there, like White Mountain, I can't remember exactly, but gonna head up and check out Brown Lake, and then go on up to Antero. This is a narrow road. Hopefully I don't run into anybody. I know I've heard people going up, so let's see here. At least I think once you get to a certain spot, you can see if people are coming. And typically the good thing about switchbacks is the point where there is a switchback, there's usually space to let people pass on by. These switchbacks aren't too bad. I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm also not really a fan of heights either. So I just kind of make sure to go slow, stay closer to the inside of the mountain, and look straight ahead. And it's not too bad. I went ahead and put the Jeep into 4 low and just slowly taking my time and keeping an eye out for vehicles coming down the trail. Okay, it was slow going, but I made it through that first set of switchbacks, and the views up here are incredible. I'm at the point of the trail where if you stay on 278 off to the left, it takes you up to Antero. I'm going to try 278A and head down to Browns Lake. It looks beautiful down there. Check it out. I think it's like a short hike around to the water. Come back up. If the weather and everything is holding out, then I'll head up to Antero. I think there's one other short peak here, Mount White. If I have time, maybe I'll knock all 3 of the trails out while I'm up here. It looks incredible down there. I'm glad I decided to take this detour. I think you can even camp down there by the water. I'll see what the spots are like. So I'm going down into the gulch now, and the road isn't too bad. A lot of loose rocks, and it is steep and narrow, but as long as you go slow, you're fine. And you can see if people are coming up, and people at the bottom can see if you're going down. So you shouldn't have any issues where you get into a situation where you're trying to pass at a narrow spot and it gets tricky. The trail has not been too bad, but right back there was one crazy corner. It's like completely banked and off camber, and one side is a whole bunch of tree roots. The other side was kind of banked, but it's going to go over the edge if you were to go past that bank. So that was a little interesting, but besides for that, the trail hasn't been too bad. I'm getting down into the gulch now, and the trail is narrow. There's some tight points because of all of the trees, but still doable even in the long wheelbase Gladiator. Looks like there's remains from an old cabin. It always amazes me when I see these cabins and mining equipment in these remote places. Man, the amount of work it would have took to get back here is crazy. It's probably not going to come out well in the video, but there is a rocky section here, but it doesn't look like it'd be too bad. I'm almost to the lake. Right now I'm on a long, steep section of the trail with some loose rocks. And I think I might be to the end of the trail as far as you can drive, yeah. So I've reached the end. You can't actually drive down to the lake. It looks like it's just a short hike. We'll go check it out. One thing to consider if you camp down here is the mosquitoes. The second I opened that door, there was like a swarm of them right in my face. So I just want to see if I can show you a few of the campsites down here. This looks like the nicest one. It's nice and flat. You can get multiple vehicles back here. So I think this would be a good spot. Got a big fire pit over here, and I can hear a stream. And here's the fire pit, and someone really set this place up. And you got the stream right here. Yeah, so this is a nice camp spot if you're interested. Now I'm gonna head down to the lake. It's beautiful over here. I was hoping that the trail code at some point along the shore to get a better view. Probably does. It's just starting to rain on me here, so I don't know how much further I want to walk to try to find a place to get to the shore. I think I'm gonna head back to the Jeep and just get some drone footage before it starts coming down too much. it back up to the point where this trail splits between Antero, White, and Browns Lake. And since I am so close, I might as well drive up there and see what it's like at the top. So I think I'm only about half a mile away, and there's a second series of switchbacks. So we'll go ahead and knock this trail out. This is the backside of the mountain in your second set of switchbacks. It's not exposed like the first set, so it's not too bad. It's just very steep and rocky. And as you get to the top, you see the peak of Antero right there. And it's well worth the drive, in my opinion. I made it to the top of the trail, and it's thundering and lightning, so I'm worried about going out there to look at the view. I can see somebody on the top of Antero. The person's brave just to be hanging out up there. So I can see where I'm going to be tomorrow when I do that 14er. So this was a cool trail. Nothing's too crazy. A lot of exposed shelf, narrow roads. If that bothers you, this might not be the trail for you, but the area is beautiful. I like Browns Lake way better than being up here, actually. What do you see, little guy? Is there danger? I made it back to the campsite, but boy, I made a rookie mistake. I really overestimated how much fuel I had. I stopped in Buena Vista to fill up, but I was at the pump and it wasn't working right, and I got irritated, and I was like, oh, I have plenty of fuel, so I left. I should have just went to a different gas station or something, because it shows me as being to like 12 miles of range left, and it's not really 12 miles. So, but I always bring a few extra gallons of gasoline. This is the first time I've ever had to use it, so I guess I've learned something. A whole lot of time in 4 low and climbing up at this altitude just burns through that fuel. So thankfully, I have 3 gallons, and that should be enough to get me back to a gas station. But boy, would that be embarrassing. He was like, could someone bring me up some fuel? Crisis avoided. I'm gonna be able to make it back to civilization. I'm so glad I had the extra fuel, and that I was able to figure out how to work this thing. Because this, I tried to use this in the past, and I couldn't get it to work right, and I got so mad that I just had to find like a funnel or something. But I had to mess around with it to get it to work, and it seems overly complicated, but at least I got it to work.